This lesson, as in the past 4 lessons, we're starting with a new fingering type. This is fingering type 4. On page 60, as I'll review, on page 60 we did fingering type 1. 70 we did fingering type 1A. 80 we did fingering type 2. 90 we did fingering type 3. And what's after fingering type 3? Fingering type 4. The name of this fingering type is from our 4th finger stretch. We use a 4th finger stretch in fingering type 4. In fingering type 1, we use a 1st finger stretch. 1A, we use more 1st finger stretches. Fingering type 2, no finger stretch. Fingering type 3, no finger stretch. Fingering type 4, 4th finger stretch. In the second position, fingering type 4 gives us the A scale. A scale, or the key of A, has 3 sharps: F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. If we know the D scale that has F sharp and C sharp, all we have to do is replace the natural G with the G sharp, and we have the A major scale. So when we get up to the G sharp, we do not slide our 1st finger down to the 1st fret and slide up. We want a 4th finger stretch. Okay. I will now play the first exercise on page 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the A scale has that G sharp with our 4th finger on the 4th string. Make sure you do not move your whole hand, and make sure you try to just stretch that 4th finger to reach that G sharp. The more we're able to keep our hand in the position, the more we're able to just look at the notes and not look at our left hand and just concentrate on reading the notes. So, again, the first two lines state the scale, and you repeat that. The next line states the scale with a chromatic between the 5th degree and the 6th degree. Again, in the second measure, E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, A. E sharp, and that's an enharmonic spelling of F. We are going to slide into the F sharp with our first finger. Coming back down, F natural slides with our fourth finger into E. So the second and third measure of the third line. Continue on. Make sure that you could just play that line very slowly and very evenly. E sharp, G sharp. The fourth line. Actually, the hardest measure there is in the second measure. But let's start with the first measure. We have an A arpeggio, actually. A, C sharp, E, A. Then you have... What's hard about that? We're going back and forth with 1 to finger stretch 4. So you really have to concentrate on stretching for that G sharp. Back to G sharp. Again, we also do have an E sharp in that measure, so it's 1 and 2 and 3 and E sharp, F sharp, G sharp, back to that. Here's the first measure on the fifth line. A D triad, then we have C sharp, A. Notice now it's very important to try and keep your fingers always over the frets that they are assigned to in whatever position they're playing in. So when I'm playing D, F sharp, I don't keep my finger on my left hand closed and then spread them out. I try and keep them spread out. So all I have to do is to press down. The last measure, you have an A staccato, E staccato, and then you have an A major triad, which is played. So last two measures, 3 and 4 and. The eighth note study at the bottom of page 100 going into the top of page 101. First thing I would like to mention about that is that there is a double sharp sign, and that is in the third measure, the last note. We have an F sharp on the fourth beat, and then we have like an X in front of that F or F sharp in the next half beat, and that's F double sharp or G to G sharp in the first beat of the last measure. So that third measure is G sharp, A, B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, F double sharp, G sharp, back to F sharp, and so forth. Here is the eighth note study at the bottom of page 100. 1, 2, 3, 4. To practice this, it's very good to practice the first measure to get the, and then it comes back down the scale. The third measure has the chromatic. Back down the scale. First measure in the second line. Third measure. Back down the scale. First measure on top of the page 100. Third measure. First measure on the last line of the exercise. And third measure. When you repeat, make sure you're looking ahead so it sounds like one scale. Back to the top. And so forth. Very slowly, even if you have to practice the first and third measure. Plan out your stretches. Plan out how you're going to play it. Make sure you look at the music and you know exactly where you are all the time. The arpeggio study. I'm going to play this as I usually do, first with the picking as stated and then with alternate picking. 1, 2, 3. The first measure is an A major triad, and you could do that with the rest stroke picking by 6th string, keep downstroke, 5th string, 4th string, 3rd string, 2nd string up. Then alternate coming down. Then alternate. Now the first measure and the last line, all down. Next one is all down except the last note. All alternate coming down. 1, A major, B minor, E7, A major, D major, A major, E7, A. As in the other exercises that we use for arpeggios, you can practice this first, all quarter notes, and use the correct picking. Make sure you stretch for that G sharp. And so forth. Very good.